UN rights chief says U.S. coup effort result of deliberate distortion of facts, and incitement to violence by Trump and GOP.
Here's a summary of the article.
The United Nations Human Rights Office has suggested that Wednesday's violence at the U.S. Capitol stemmed at least in part from President Donald Trump and Republican lawmakers fomenting a violence and continued deliberate distortion of facts regarding the outcome of November's presidential election. Thursday's statement from UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Michelle Bachelet came amid growing calls for Trump's impeachment or removal from office under the 25th Amendment, broader calls that the president whose repeated baseless accusations of a «stolen» election face full accountability for his role in the coup attempt, and accusations that scores of Republicans who voted Thursday to object to President-elect Joe Biden's clear election win are co-conspirators in sedition. Bachelet said that the failed coup attempt demonstrated clearly the destructive impact of sustained, deliberate distortion of facts, and incitement to violence and hatred by political leaders. Allegations of electoral fraud have been invoked to try to undermine the right to political participation. She further called on all lawmakers and Trump to disavow false and dangerous narratives and tell their supporters to do so as well. A poll released Thursday backs up Bachelet's comments. Conducted by YouGov Wednesday following the violence, 45% of Republicans said they actively support the storming of the Capitol compared to 43% who opposed it. While 90% of Democrats and 51% of independents said a great deal of the blame lies with Trump, 52% of GOP voters said some degree of blame sits with Biden compared to 28% who attributed the chaos to Trump.
This post received a score of 31,000, with an upvote ratio of 89%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Trump has been grooming this crowd for 5 years. No one near him ever said stop. They all bear some responsibility.
What is the downside for humoring him for this little bit of time? No one seriously thinks the results will change, said one senior Republican official. He went golfing this weekend. It's not like he's plotting how to prevent Joe Biden from taking power on January 20th. He's tweeting about filing some lawsuits, those lawsuits will fail, then he'll tweet some more about how the election was stolen, and then he'll leave. November 10th.
Did you see how deflated Loeffler seemed when she announced she could no longer object to the election results in good conscience? Did you see how exhilarated she seemed only a day before, prior to her election loss, when she declared she would object to the election results? They like the crowd cheering their name, and when they cheer Trump's name, the crowd cheers theirs.
Greater than membership in a conspiracy, as in an army, frees people from the sense of personal responsibility. Frank Herbert.
Distortion of facts seems a bit generous, when much of what Trump says is pure invention.
It's more than just Trump though. He can't be scapegoated for all this shit. He's also a byproduct of the propaganda machine. You have prominent politicians like Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz espousing straight-up lies. You have even bigger doofuses like Gates saying shit like facial recognition identified the protesters as Antifa. Pure fiction out of a Tom Clancy novel. Trump is a symptom, he's parroting shit out of right-wing fascist media. You have to identify the underlying cause.
The GOP rhetoric since 1967. All media organization owned by Rupert Murdoch. Facebook purposefully collecting people into groups then locking them into the increasingly more radical echo chambers and doing nothing to moderate. The causes are well known. Hasn't seemed to helped much in the last 12 years. The domestic terrorist attack on the U.S. Capitol, January 6, 2021, was the least surprising, most predictable terrorist attack in U.S. history.
Don't forget the fairness doctrine being killed under Reagan's watch. It wouldn't have prevented the formation of Fox, the propaganda channel, but not having it sure didn't help.
And deregulation allowed outlets across the country to be bought up by a handful of companies.
Awesome of them to include GOP. I'm sick of just only hearing about Trump. GOP is just as complicit in this. They've been steering their whole platform towards this direction for decades and long before Trump was even in the picture. A lot of them are just as guilty, if not at the very least complicit.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.